Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we are doing a full review and demo of all of the makeup coming out of our Boxycharms and IPSYs and all of the subscription boxes this month. And I really like how everything turned out. It is such a pretty holiday, festive, Christmas glam. Loving the red lip, loving the shimmer on the eyes. Really, everything turned out so good. But there was a product or two that I wasn't a huge fan of. And if you want to see all of that, make sure to keep on watching and don't forget to subscribe because I upload every other day. That'll be the best way to stay up to date on all the fun stuff I'm posting. So if you want to jump into a tutorial on this look and reviewing everything in this month's subscription boxes, stay tuned. Alright, so today, like I said, we're going to be jumping into a bunch of subscription box makeup. My skin is already prepped, threw on my brows, and put on my base because none of those items came out of any subscription boxes this month. But we're going to jump into everything else together. So starting off, let's do complexion. So I did already put a light veil of setting powder down because we have two setting sprays and I want to mix them and play around with them. First one we're going to use is going to be the Watermelon Burst Setting Spray from Ciate London. This came out of my premium box. And I'm just going to do a quick mist over the powder to take the powderiness down. That way I can go into a cream product. Definitely has a really nice scent, a little on the watermelon-y side, which makes sense because it's a watermelon burst setting spray. I'm going to just press that into the cheeks to make sure that we are no powderiness, so any cream product will blend nicely. I feel like I have a nice, healthy, dewy glow despite the fact that I use powder, so I definitely love when a setting spray brings the skin back to life. Next, this is from Youthforia. This was the oil blush that came out of the Boxy Luxe. And it is a color-changing formula. So I'm going to take a little bit, where's my mirror? Just on the apple of the cheek. Oh, it instantly went pink. And I'm going to grab Beauty Sponge and just pat that in. I feel like these color-changing products are a little gimmicky, but if they look good, they look good. It's definitely giving a nice, healthy flush to the cheek, and I love that little bit of glow. I will say, I wish there was a little bit more of that, like, pigment to it. It's an oil, so I don't want to layer too much on, because then it'll just kind of mess with whatever's going on top of it, because you know I'm a fan of powder. But that being said, I feel like having a little bit of this on the cheeks under a powder blush will really make everything pop. Plus, it really does have this beautiful sheen and glow to it. So if you're not going to go in with like everything and then some like I'm about to do, it'll definitely give you a nice barely there no makeup if that's what you're into. Since everything else is going to be powder, I'm going to take the brush, one of the MOTD brushes out of my IPSY with a tiny bit of setting powder. This is the Prism Libre from Givenchy. And I'm just going to lightly set over the cheeks. So that way anything we put on top will blend nicely. And I love this powder because it's nice and luminous without being shiny. So you'll notice the skin is still matte, but it still has a little bit of like luminosity to it. All right, moving on to eyes. I have in front of me the Larousse brushes and the Complex Culture brushes from various different Boxycharms. We're going to use both of these sets to create a full eye look today. I did already use the fluffy one just to put on my eyeshadow primer. So we're going to jump into the Complex Culture. They call this the All Over Shadow Brush. I'm going to use this in the crease. And there were 3 eyeshadow palettes to choose from. And I'm going in with the Tres Luce Midnight Desires palette, just because this one was definitely calling my name. And I'm going to start, I know we're doing a red lip today, so I want something like warm and smoky. So I'm going to start with the shade, let's do Romance right here. And I'm going to take that just on the tip of this brush. I love about this palette that the mirror comes out. And I'm going to pat that in the crease and then blend. Then I'm going to take even more of that same color and once again just really concentrate that in the crease. And then once I feel like I have a good distribution of that, I am going to blend it up a little bit just to diffuse those edges. All right, normally at this point I would then go in with a darker brown shade, but we're going to get there. I'm going to back into it. From Tarte, this came out of the Luxe box. This is the Quick Stick in Rose Gold Luster and a brown liner. I'm going to take that rose gold luster shade and I'm just going to apply that on the lid. Grabbing one of the dense packer brushes, I'm just going to pat that color in and just blend that crease a little so that everything is nice and smooth and one sort of even tone. And then we're going to blend around it, and this is actually going to be the base of our shimmer. To really make it pop, I'm going for like a super holiday glam today. So now that that's in place, going back to that first brush with a tiny bit more of that first color, just going to blend the crease. And that's just going to really set where we want that next brown color to go. All right, now that we're in a good place with that, I'm going to go into the Precision Eyelid brush from Complex Culture. I don't love this kind of a brush for the lid. I prefer it for the outer corner, so that's what I'm going to use it for. I'm going to go into Journey, the dark, it reads a little warmer on camera. So I'm going to actually go into Miracles. It's a little darker, but it's also more neutral. And I'm going to take that on the tip of that brush and really just lightly pat around the outer corner of the eye. Can always deepen it up later, so I want to go in with a little bit first before I go overboard and add too much. Because I'm going for holiday, I want bright and gold, and it's going to go with a red lip, but I don't want it to be like a giant blown out smoky eye. And you see how that's just giving it a little bit more shape? Now, the ends haven't been blended yet, but you can see kind of the look we're going for, where it's this very universal evening glam. Back into that first brush with no additional product, just going to blend the edges, which is going to just take a tiny bit of that dark brown, and it's going to move it along the crease. It's not doing much, but you will see that it is just kind of giving a little bit more shape to the eye. This is really coming together nicely. See how it's really making the eye look a little bit more upturned and a little bit bigger? That's what we're going for. Then on the brush we used for that cream shadow earlier, which is the LaRousse Shadow Brush, we're going to go into our shimmer shade. And I'm seeing like a bronzy gold, a brassy gold, this Starry Night blue duochrome, and a true gold. And I feel like I'm liking where this champagne is going. So I'm going to use, Twinkle has a little bit more of that warmth to it. So I'm going to use that Twinkle shade, and I'm going to take it on that brush and really load up on that pigment. And I'm going to give a quick setting mist on the tip of that brush. This may be one of those colors that applies best with a finger, but we're going to try it with a brush first. Yeah, that's not really doing much, and it is giving a little bit of fallout. So instead, I'm going to take that on my finger and just gently pull it across the lid. And you see how that shimmer base that we did earlier really makes it so this color can pop. All right, I am getting a tiny bit of fallout on the under eye, but the color is so vibrant that I don't even care. I am really loving that. So we're going to switch back to the shader brush from before with a little bit more of that dark brown. Hi, Travis. And I'm going to just blend where that shimmer shade we just added meets the brown from before, just so it's a little bit less of a stark comparison where those two colors meet, and it'll be a little bit more put together. And now that that's on there, it is a champagne-y color, and the brown is very neutral, and we're going to do a red lip. So I want to add a little bit more warmth to the eye. So we're going to take this, it definitely is more pink in person, but it is a soft neutral. And I'm going to gently just blend a little bit of that above the crease, just to warm the eyes up a little bit. You know, normally I really love a cool tone, but today, you know, it's the holiday season. We really want that warmth on the eyes. And you see how just adding that little bit of pink blended out, it's not pink eyeshadow and it's not a pink look, but it is just giving us a tiny bit more warmth on the eyes. And then one last time with a tiny bit more of that brown, just to make sure that everything is blended. All right, this is really pretty. We're gonna go back to that Tarte product and we're gonna use the other side, which is a brown liner, and I'm gonna pop that in the waterline. All right, and jumping into a pencil brush, I'm gonna start with a tiny bit of that dark brown shade that we used up top, and I'm just gonna blend that over the liner. That is a great thing you can do when you want something to be dramatic, but not too intense, is instead of black, use brown on the lower liner, because black just makes it a little bit darker, whereas this is a little bit softer, but still dark. And then on that first brush, I'm just gonna blend whatever is left of that pinky color around that brown. And notice when I get to the outer corner, I'm blending it into the upper lid. That way it connects. That's gonna make it so it doesn't look like the top and bottom aren't connected, and it feels like one blended eye look all the way around, and not this disjointed top and bottom lid thing. All right, I used all of the brushes except one. So what I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna take Ethereal, that matte, almost bone color, and I'm gonna take that just under the brow bone. That's gonna do two things. One, it's gonna serve as a brow bone highlight to make the eye look extra lifted. And second, where that blending on the outside kind of got blown out a little bit, it's gonna soften it a little more so that it looks and feels a little bit more put together. See how that just kind of cleaned up that eye shape? Such an easy tip. And then with that same matte color, I'm just going to hit the inner corner and under the other eye colors. All right, so palette, fantastic. I know I said I was iffy because the last time I tried this brand, I wasn't a huge fan of what the palette did, but this one is absolutely stunning. I'm going to curl my lashes off camera and I will be right back to try the next few items. All right, I am back. Lashes are curled, and next we're gonna jump into the cheeks. So I'm gonna use the Anastasia Beverly Hills cheek palette that came in the Luxe box today, and I'm gonna be using that with those MOTD brushes. So I'm gonna start with the brush that they said was contour. I don't love this shape for contour, but we're gonna try it anyway. And I'm just gonna take that where I would normally put my bronzer, and I'm probably gonna want a bigger brush. Yeah, definitely gonna want a bigger brush. The product is going on fairly smooth, but again, this isn't the sort of brush I would use. So I'm gonna actually grab eye bronzer brush with that same product and just bronze like I normally would. So right away, the color is very warm. You'll see that it's leaning very like yellowy on my skin. That's not a bad thing. You know, you want your bronzers to be warm, but on my complexion, which is definitely more on the cool pinky tone, I do have to be careful because bronzers can get very overwhelmingly warm tone on me, and that is not desirable. So it's not bad, but definitely feel like I'm gonna need to blend something else on top of this. Grabbing the Vesca bronzer that came in Boxy a while back, and I'm not taking much of this, but you'll see just taking a little bit of this and blending it over. See how it's neutralizing that yellow? That's what I need. I need a little bit more of that cool tone to sculpt things out. It's definitely pretty though, but you know, my coloring, it's definitely not a universal color, but it's pretty. Grabbing the MOTD blush brush, I'm gonna take that blush tone and we're gonna add that to the apple of the cheeks. Now, I did already put on that cream blush underneath, so I'm already a little bit blushing, but you'll see that like once I put this on, I'm not getting a ton of pigment. Like it's definitely more of a sheer color, so it's not gonna be, you know, really intimidating, especially if you're newer to makeup or newer to blush. But this is like the third time I've dipped into the color, and it's only now starting to come through the way I like blush to look. You know, we're in a trend where everybody likes a nice heavy blush application, and if I have to dip in 19 times to get there, it's a little more than I would like. But since it is so sheer, I'm going to take a little bit just down the nose. Just, you know, I know it's winter, so we want to fake that we've been outside and have that sun-kissed look. Switching to the other side, we're going to grab that highlight shade, which does have this goldy undertone. So again, we're talking very warm-toned product. I'm not applying it really heavy because, again, we want something a little bit more natural. But once I have it on the cheek, I'm going to go back into that blush and just blend it down because I want that luminosity to spread on the whole cheek. We don't want a stripe of color. We definitely want it to feel blended out. It's pretty. I think once I throw a lip on, it'll really come together, but it's also going to be a red lip, which may end up washing me out. So I might have to lay on even more of this to get it to really showcase. I'm going to go with a solid good, not great on that, just because of my coloring. The formula's okay, but I want a little more pigment, you know? For mascara, today we're going to put on the Milk Makeup Rise Mascara. This was in my base IPSY. Now, the brush is so much smaller than the Cush wand, which I'm really happy about because I don't love the Cush wand. So on camera, it's kind of getting lost because of all the sparkle behind it, but in person, it looks really nice. It's not giving too much thick or clumpy lashes. And even though like I'm kind of playing with it just to perfect it, I'm liking how it's looking. Again, normally I would be like, let's just throw on a lash and make our lives so much easier. But I know so many people just don't wear lashes. And this is giving like a very natural mascara look. Like, I'll be honest, it's not going to rival, you know, my ride or die favorite mascaras. This is not the High Def from Beauty For Real. This is not the Benefit Roller Lash. But I will say, based on how disappointed I've been with the Cush mascara, I think this is a great alternative if you really like Milk makeup. And like me, you didn't like their original mascara formula. All right, and lastly, let's jump into lip. So coming out of the IPSY, this is the Luna Magic Lip Liner. It is a nude mauve, and I'm just going to throw on a quick lip line, nice and easy. So that is a little warmer than I expected it to be. It said like a cool tone mauve. It's definitely a mauve-y family, but you see how it's almost, I don't want to say warm, but it's definitely leaning more neutral. I'm getting a tiny bit of bleeding, but I like the color. And there are so many people who feel like they have to match their lip liner perfectly to their lipstick, and I love using a neutral liner and then going in with a bold color. So I'm actually going to be layering a red on top of this. Coming out of my Luxe box, this is the uncensored red lipstick from Fenty Beauty, and we're going to put this right on top. I love how this formula goes on. It's like such a satin matte, but it doesn't feel heavy. I rushed a little bit. That's not the lipstick bleeding, that was me just rushing. But I love the way that this color is pairing. It feels very holiday. Now I did have the two lip gloss lip shines, but now that I have the intensity of the eye with the matte lip, I kind of don't want to change anything. So I'm going to call it there, and we're going to skip the lip gloss and go right into a tiny bit of setting spray. And as always, press that in. And I think this looks fantastic. I'm very happy with the way everything turned out. I don't think there was a single product that I like hated at all. I think I wanted a little more pigment out of the blush, but now that it's all on and everything's kind of, you know, doing its thing, I think it's very pretty and I'm really happy with it. So as always, let me know your thoughts down below. I would love to hear it, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.